What are your stories of surprise parties gone wrong? My friend's birthday thrown by his wife. He was recovering from a horrible car accident and was on crutches and horse-sized doses of Vicodin. He walks in and everyone yells surprise, and he slowly turns, looks at everyone in a doped out state and walks right back out without saying a word. Fuck, I'm way too high on this crap. Just walked into the wrong room and ruined a surprise party. In high school I was responsible for keeping a friend busy while her parents set everything up at their house for the party. We get back to her house. All the lights are off. She walks in the door and announces I have to take a huge crap, lights turn on. Surprise embarrassment ensues. This is the first one where no one seems like an butthole. The person we were throwing the 63rd birthday party for was coming back from a trip with his wife, and we, 50 plus people, were in the backyard with all the decorations set up and food. His wife texted us when they were 5 minutes away and we all gathered to the fence gate where they would soon enter. The fence was about 7 feet tall so you couldn't see anything over it. When they entered, we all yelled surprise and his face looked like he was about to sneeze, but instead he was having a stroke and ended up in the hospital for the evening. The food was good though. 7/10 had a stroke. A girl I was dating in high school set up a surprise birthday party for me, but chose to not invite most of my good friends because she didn't like them. Well, they caught wind of this party and took me out for some drinks instead, as their own birthday surprise. This was before cell phones, so she didn't have a way to get in touch with me to make up a reason to get me back to her house. Halfway through the night one of them spills the whole story, and I decided wise to make a rather late appearance. It was very awkward walking into a room of her drunken friends, with her crying in the bathroom. Needless to say, there's no one who can be blamed but her in this story. One time my mom told me that we were running low on funds so we couldn't have a birthday party and that the best we could do is take me to McDonald's with my friend. We'll call him Jack. We get to Jack's house and mom tells me that he is out at his pool. I walk over to the gate outside and 20 people jump out and are all like surprise. I'm confused as frick. I walk over to Jack and ask him if he's ready to go to McDonald's and my mom had to pull me off to the side and explain it was a surprise birthday party. I am not a smart man. Man, what a disappointment. Could have had a Big Mac. My friends, family and co-workers planned a surprise birthday party for me at my house. In order to give everyone time to get there and get set up, my co-workers had my boss ask me to stay late at work because we might have an emergency project to do tonight. So 5 PM rolls around and everyone heads home. Really, to my house. I sit around. 6 PM. 7 PM. Finally text the boss that I'm headed out unless she really needs me to stay. Turns out she was supposed to have me go home at 5:30 because the project didn't pan out. Since I figure my evening is shot anyway, I head to the grocery store, pick up the dry cleaning, drop off the recycling, etc. I walked in my door around 8:45 9 PM to find all my friends, family and co-workers drunk in my house. They were all a bit too in their cups to muster a coordinated surprise, but I figured it out. Ended up having a blast. I like how your friends and family just decided to start the party without you, haha. My friend got back from deployment. It was my job to take him out and keep him away whilst they prepare his house. When we arrive everyone jumps out. Friend reacts automatically punching someone in the face and throwing himself out of the door at the same time. 2 chipped teeth and a sprained wrist. Went to one of those surprise parties where more and more people show up to a restaurant until the whole party is there. Fun stuff, right? Turns out that a couple who were in our group of friends were in the same section having the divorce talk, and thing was that they hadn't been invited because they fought so much it was tough to be around them. Went out for a romantic dinner with the then wife. She was being unusually flirty, showing cleavage. Goes to restroom, brings back panties in her hand and gives to me. Says she couldn't wait to get back home, etc. So, arrive back home. She tells me to meet in the basement where we have our entertainment room and TV while she changes into something for the evening. Huge boner. Go down the stairs. Start taking off my pants. Surprise. About 30 friends in the basements for an early surprise B-day party. I fell backwards on the stairs. Could feel my heart racing and barely covered boner. Fortunately, rapidly deflating. Would rather have had the intended evening's activities and didn't end up getting any B-day sex. We threw a surprise party for my brother's 30th birthday. We did such a good job planning it that he didn't even have any idea it was for him. My sister's birthday is about 10 days before my brother's, so we told him we were throwing a surprise party for her. Since it was before his birthday, we figured he wouldn't suspect a thing. He didn't. We actually had him in on the planning of his own party, asked him for his thoughts on food, drinks, etc. We had all of his best friends, the entire family, minus my sister, oddly enough, over, and he walked through the door. Surprise. Dumbuses. I'm not sister's name. He looks around and sees all of his friends. It finally registered. He was so grateful for the awesome party and he had a blast, but his initial reaction made it feel like the biggest failure. My boyfriend at the time and his female friend planned a surprise party for me while I was at work. Was definitely surprised and overjoyed that all my friends were at my house with cake and balloons and wine. However, after a while I notice I can't find my boyfriend or his friend. Caught him on the porch making out with the girl who helped him set up my surprise party. He forgot I had a security camera pointed at the front door. Was not a good surprise. My friend was having her art displayed at a local coffee shop. She had no idea and thought she was just meeting a few friends for coffee. There were a ton of us, and we all waited anxiously as she walked in. She walked in saying that her dad ruined everything about 2 minutes from the shop, texting her telling her that he wished he could have made it to her art unveiling. Dads always suck at surprises. I have a relevant story. My friends planned a surprise party for me. They sent out a Facebook invite with specific instructions for everybody to bring funny hats and surprise me at this local bar. Then one of them accidentally invited me to the Facebook event. My buddy, who does way more judo than people should, flipped his girlfriend clean over during a surprise party and broke her arm. Thought she was an intruder. Needless to say, they're married now. A few years back we threw one for my uncle Tommy. It was gonna be at the Elks Club where he was vice president or some dumb crap like that, so we all got set up and ready to go. We are waiting and they were supposed to arrive at 6. It got to be 7:30 and we were getting worried. Turns out my aunt was taking my uncle to the park for a romantic walk and then she would take him to the club and he'd be shocked as frick. But they got into this huge fight and he wanted to go home. Eventually she convinced him to come. The excuse was he left his hat there and it was an expensive hat. She actually had to steal his hat in the middle of the night and drop it off at the club so the excuse would have truth to it. And when he walked in he said, "Yeah, I heard her talking about this 3 freaking weeks ago. I told the C I didn't want a party and here we go. A freaking party." He knocked all the presents off the table, punched the cake, and left. He filed for divorce the next week and then moved to Florida. One of my friend's girlfriends was throwing him a surprise party at his house and invited a bunch of us. An hour or two before, someone posted on her Facebook wall, "Hey, what time does the party start again?" Needless to say, the birthday boy wasn't very surprised, but at least we all had a good time. A girlfriend of mine punched her aunt in the face and broke her nose because she jumped out right in front of her when they yelled surprise. One hospital trip later, they decided not to throw surprise parties anymore. If I've learned anything from this thread, it's to only throw surprise parties to people under 50, from safe distances, and with my eyes closed. More of an I wanted to be a huge butthole moment. My birthday. I tell wife let's have friends over for BBQ. She says okay. I spend afternoon mowing yard and setting up patio, etc. About an hour before people are supposed to show up, wife says I need to help her run to store to get supplies. I'm filthy, covered in grass and dust, and sweaty as heck, so I say, "Let me take a quick shower." She says we don't have time because she needs to start cooking, etc. Take a shower when we get back. Okay, I reply, slightly irritated to have to run to market dirty, but no biggie, right? Did I mention she's dressed up? Well, she seems to be dressed really nicely for the market or a BBQ, but I didn't really think much of it. Hop in car, head down road, she's driving, pull into upscale restaurant parking lot. I'm like, WTF, then I see all my friends' cars parked in parking lot. Frick. Did I mention I was dirty and sweaty? Well, I was dirty and sweaty and smelly as frick. I wanted so bad to be a dong and throw a complete fit and go back home. But I didn't. I spent the evening in a nice restaurant with my nicely dressed wife and friends while I looked and smelled like crap, pretending to have a nice time. That was kind of rude of your wife, letting you do all that work for nothing and then not letting you shower. When I have to mow the lawn I smell like a mix of gas and sweat, so I know how it feels. My aunt had set up a surprise 40th birthday party for my uncle. Everyone, about 30 friends, neighbors, relatives, were hiding in the basement waiting for him to come home from work. His car pulls up. He runs to house. Everyone yells surprise and he shoots himself. Turns out he had the runs that day and really had to poop. We all had to wait until he got a shower for cake. I was 9 at the time and couldn't stop laughing. Man, what a party pooper. Parked in the driveway because I'm dumb as frick. He pulled in and asked what the frick I was doing at his house. He figured it out and I ruined the surprise party. I was delivering a hot tub to a customer. She had bought it for her husband who had been over in Iraq training Iraqi police. She wanted it to be a surprise for him. She had me arrive at exactly 10 minutes before his party. Everyone was on the back deck but me. I had my trailer backed up with his brand new hot tub and was in the process of unloading it for them. He walks through the door and everyone shots happy birthday. About the same time I popped the strap on the hot tub. The strap releasing made a loud snap followed by a heavy boom as the tailgate released. The man was suffering from PTSD. He screamed and dove back through his door, knocking his wife into the cake, and he just lay there curled up bawling like a H addict in rehab. Wow, that's just really sad. My buddy's girlfriend threw him one at his apartment the day before his birthday. Everyone got in their places when we saw him pull up, waited and waited, then looked out to the parking lot to see why he hadn't come in yet. He was getting blown by some other girl. Then it got awkward. When I was a DJ, the wife planned a 45th surprise birthday party for her husband, rented a banquet hall, a lot of food, maybe about 150 people. The husband walked in, people yelled surprise and he got this shocked look on his face and went off on his wife accusing her of cheating and so on. If you can hold this a secret from me then WHO knows what else you're doing behind my back. A big commotion after that. I packed up and left. No party. Jesus. Someone has trust issues. Buddy of mine set up a surprise party for his fiancée. She thought he was off to another state for a week for work. He came back early on her birthday and set up a huge surprise party for her at home. She usually gets home at like 6 PM from work and it's already like 7 PM. And we finally hear her coming. We turn off the lights and she comes home hammered with another dude she was going to bang. Drama was all over the place. It was a huge chaotic argument. People taking sides. My buddy was really pee and faked that he was calm and then like a cheater jumped out of his seat and decked the dude in the face and knocked him out. The guy deserved it. He was a pickup artist and knew she was engaged. She was just a easy catch but still she is at fault and they ended breaking up. Relevant Alfred Hitchcock Presents episode. Happy birthday from the 1980s incarnation. Plot: a man's quiet 50th birthday is interrupted when he is arrested for a murder from 22 years before. Turns out, the cops were just actors hired as a ruse to get him to a surprise party. The man is so stressed out by being arrested that by the time his friends jump out and yell surprise, the man promptly has a heart attack and dies. Oops. His friends are then arrested for murder. My younger sister decided she wanted a surprise party for her birthday, so she went ahead and planned it all herself. Cake, balloons, everything. The best part was the reveal. She walked into where everybody was waiting for her early and shouted surprise. Apparently I am so utterly oblivious that my surprise party was ruined numerous times in the weeks leading up. My girlfriend had set it all up weeks in advance and invited my friends, family, even co-workers. Every single group at one point or another slipped up and mentioned the party in front of me. I honestly had no clue. The day before the party, my brother was in town and I had hinted that we would have a great time tomorrow night. My girlfriend apparently cringed. Everyone was sure I knew, but no one directly asked me. Lucky they didn't. I was blown away when I got to the party. No one believed that I didn't know. This would be me. I'm a smart guy but I am very absent-minded. My sister actually called me up and told me about a surprise party that they were throwing for me because she was so convinced that I had already found out about it. I had been talking to this girl I met through friends on MSN. She lived in the same town as me, and we would talk every day. Not on the phone though. Supposedly she was afraid of talking on the phone. Before I go any further, yes, she was real. LOL. Anyway, I kinda started to like her and evidently maybe she did too. I say that because I get a call from her best friend. She told me that THJS girl always talks about me, yada yada yada. So she invites me to her friend's surprise 16th day party. I came early, met her parents, her brother, her friends, and some of her extended family. They all say oh, so you are Jaji, so we get the word she is on her way. We close the doors and hunker down. She comes through. She seemed really happy until she saw me. She started crying and wouldn't talk to me. She hid in the back room and didn't come out until I left. I still don't understand. I only wanted a signed picture of him. You can't disappoint a picture. One of my roommates last year had a girlfriend who was ultimately sweet, but very clingy, controlling, and an alcoholic. She decided to throw a surprise birthday party for this roommate, K, and had been planning it for an entire month beforehand. She invited all his friends, recruited me and the other roommates to help decorate the apartment and fix some food, had posters and banner printed out, and baked a huge elaborate cake. The day of the party he came home 4 hours early. The girlfriend is absolutely crushed and spends the next half hour screaming at him about how he'd ruined everything. We finally convince her that all is not lost and finish decorating while K sleeps. A note about K. At the time he worked nights at a bar. He normally slept during the day and was awake at night, but today he'd been asked to work a double shift for some reason. When he arrived home that day he'd been up for at least 24 hours straight. Anyway, a few hours later the guests arrive and everyone is having a good time except for the girlfriend who is still distraught the surprise was ruined, and K, who is asleep. The girlfriend gets outrageously drunk and spends an hour or so trying to get K out of bed to enjoy this party she threw for him and he isn't having any of it. When she finally manages to drag him out of bed, he pounds a few shots. We sing happy birthday, and he passes out again. The girlfriend at this point gives up and passes out on the floor in his bedroom. So the rest of the night was spent partying with these people we really didn't know, and then cleaning up. We left up most of the decorations for K and his girlfriend to take care of in the morning, which they never did. The monstrosity of a cake the girlfriend made sat in our fridge for a week before she remembered it existed. TLDR. Alcoholic planned surprise birthday party for her boyfriend. Surprise is ruined. Both GF and BF pass out not 2 hours into the party and never clean up. She sounds like it was more for her than for him if she screamed at him for ruining his surprise. When I was 13, my mom's then BF wanted to throw her a surprise 40th birthday party. My job was to keep her out of the house after work school long enough for him to set everything up and for everyone to arrive. I told her I wanted to use my saved up allowance to take her shopping for a new purse. We were leaving the store and as we were walking to her car, 2 men rushed by us and took off with her purse. She was happy with the party, but her worrying about having to cancel her credit cards, etc. put a damper on the occasion for sure. I don't like surprises, and my sister and bro-in-law took me out to distract me while my family set up a surprise back home. I had no idea, and was just having a wonderful day hanging out. When we arrived home everything looked normal because my family parked their cars a block away. So as walking in there were streamers hung and my first thought was just like what the. Then right before I even escape through them my family jumps out from behind the furniture yelling surprise. It scared the crap out of me, and I just stood there with a blank face staring at everyone, and walked awkwardly away down the hall to my bedroom. I still feel like an idiot to this day thinking about it. Walked in on an ex-GF fricking another guy. She tried to say she was planning to surprise me with a threesome and just got started without me. I was actually more insulted that she thought I was dumb enough to fall for that lie. LOL. Should have called her bluff and started fricking the other guy. When my son was turning 5 he told us he wanted a surprise birthday party. He gave us the entire rundown on how he was going to go, and we followed his instructions to give him exactly what he wanted. He had been out with grandma, and when he walked in the door all 40 of us yelled surprise. He just sat down on the floor and cried and refused to even stand up. It took us about 20 minutes to calm him down enough to stop crying. Needless to say, we won't be throwing him any more surprise parties. It was pretty funny though. Maybe that's how I'll scar him for life. Surprise parties every year. I worked quite hard at planning a surprise party for my best friend in the flat we shared. Her boyfriend was to bring her home at a set time. We were all sitting in the living room with our eye on the front door, waiting for her to enter as we had seen his car go by. All part of the plan, except he brought her in the back door. She walks into the living room and all our backs were to her and asked what we were doing. When I asked him why he brought her in the wrong door, he said it was because parking was better on that side. Idiot. My friend spent a month planning her boyfriend's birthday party. On the day of, only 3 people were on time, her and myself included. This is why you leave 30 minutes to an hour for guests to arrive. So if the birthday person is showing up at 6, you tell guests to arrive at 5. Right before we moved to Europe last summer, 2012, my husband's family attempted to throw us a surprise going away party. My parents were in town visiting and we went to the beach, and on the way back my mother says she needs to pee, but there's nowhere around to go except my mother-in-law's house. So I call her up and ask if she minds us swinging by for a quick chat pee. She seems a little annoyed, but she hates drop-ins, so that was expected. But she agrees because we're about to move and she wants to see her grandson as much as possible. We pull up and see balloons out front, in German flag colors, where we were moving. I look at my husband and he kinda has the same look on his face. Is this a crap? So we get inside and none of the guests are there. Nothing is set up. Nothing is ready. Mother-in-law is like surprise in the most deflated tone ever. Turns out my parents were supposed to get us there 2 hours later, under completely different pretenses, but I screwed it up by suggesting the house as a quick potty spot. My mom couldn't think of a quick excuse to not have us go there, and Mill didn't want to refuse us and have us upset and not wanting to go over later. So we hung out and eventually the guests showed up, surprised that we were already there. It was a lovely get together, but I really wish they had just let us know beforehand rather than played it as a surprise. Husband and I both dislike surprise parties, and we were in ratty clothes while all the guests were dressed nicely because they knew about it ahead of time. Well, at least someone was surprised. We didn't find this out until after the party, but here's the story. A bunch of my friends and I planned this big surprise birthday party for our friend. We'll call him Andy. He was turning 18. The plan was that he would be spending the day with his girlfriend, and then when they came to his house in the early evening, we'd surprise him. What we didn't know was that earlier that day, while he and his girlfriend were hanging out at her parents' house, they had a little ordeal. Both of them were virgins at the time, and they had began talking about the possibility of doing it. Well, that morning while they were fooling around in her room, she suggested that they try it as a sort of birthday present to him. She had bought condoms for him and he'd never even tried to put one on before. The way he describes it, he was ready to shatter that meat tunnel, and all his years of training by watching porno were about to finally come to use. He put the condom on as she lay spread eagle on the bed, and as soon as he tried to put it in, he went limp as a bonefish. Anxiety and embarrassment overcame him, and after a few moments of trying to get it up, he excused himself to the bathroom. He probably stayed in there for 5 minutes, scolding his dong for pussying out on him, furiously trying to jack it off back to life. Couldn't get it up to save his life, so he came out of the bathroom, ashamed, and told her they might need to try it another time. She started crying and saying that it must be because he's not attracted to her. Started this big argument. He finally calmed her down and they went to the movie they were supposed to go to. He says that all he could think about on the way back to his house, where he was told would be empty without any family, was trying it again and getting it right. He started to talk sexy to her, and she started stroking him a bit in the car during the drive. They got to the house, and they made out in the car for a bit, feeling each other up. So they get out of the car, and she trails behind him as he opens the back door, ready to head straight upstairs and javere the bone. Surprise from 20 of his closest friends. The lucky few of us found out later why he had such a defeated look on his face when he opened the door to find us all there. Later on, he got it in. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.